Are you tired of sitting on the sidelines watching opportunities pass you by? You know you have what it takes, but something's missing. It could be doubt, confidence, or fear that you're not representing your best self. Whatever it is, it stops now. It's time to align your passion with your purpose and seize the opportunities that await you. I want to see you get back in the game. So join me and my expert guests as we talk all things image, branding, and a bit of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you amplify your presence and define your impact for greater success, sit with us as we talk about it. Hello, and welcome back to the Image Connection Show, where we go beneath the surface of image, branding, and entrepreneurship to help you live and lead with impact. I'm your host, Jenny Dewberry, international image consultant, brand consultant, and coach. Today, I have someone with me that is going to talk about something pretty timely, I think, because it's the new year. We are setting new goals. We're trying to figure out how we can move from one place to another. But I don't think we always think about how our surroundings affect our productivity. So today I have with me Dorota Kuldo, and she will pronounce her name for me, but Dorota Kuldo. I'm sorry, Dorota, I'm trying to get that right. And she is a decluttering specialist, but not just for the home, but the mind. So I thought it was important to bring that in to help us to get clarity and then to know how our surroundings affect our productivity. So she is here to help us with that. Welcome to the show, Dorota.
Thank you so much for having me. It's Dorota.
Dorota, please. I was going to ask you to pronounce it for me. Well, it is a pleasure to have you here. I am so sorry that I could not get the name right. Especially the last name. So my apologies for that. It's important for me to get people's names right when I'm trying to say it. So again, thank you for understanding and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Give us a little background. First of all, where are you coming to us from?
From Poland in Europe. Very cold, very snowy.
Yeah.
Poland.
Yeah, where it's pretty cold here too, but not a Poland kind of cold. But it's pretty. We're getting a severe winter storm system coming through, and everyone is affected, even here in the Northeast. So I wanted to talk with you about what you do, who you serve, and how you serve them.
So I am a decluttering coach, and I work with women, and I help them declutter their homes. But I would say this is just like a layer one of what I do, especially with my private one-on-one mentorship clients. We go way deeper than that because clutter, it is just a symptom. It's just a surface level consequence of how we behave, what we think, and in general, how we approach our life. And it's not good or bad, it's just what it is. So I help women move past that, navigate through that.
Yeah. And so when we talked some time ago, I thought decluttering. But once we had our conversation, I knew that you could give some very valuable insight on decluttering and how it affects our productivity, how we move, like you said, move through life, how it can keep us stagnant, and we don't even think about our surroundings and how it really impacts how we move in our businesses, in our jobs, in our careers, rather. It can keep us stagnant. So you want to talk about that? Start off by talking about,
Yes, sure. That's the thing, right now, most of people in the world, they associate decluttering with, okay, stuff in my home. And that's as deep as they really go. I just want to get rid of the stuff in our home. Yeah. But what it is the missing piece here is we don't really, until we put those two things together, it's like, oh, I understand why it's like that now, right? Yeah. And clutter affects everything from the most biological sort of level, the most primal level. If we are, as human beings, our body is designed in a way to always scan the environment
Mm-hmm.
for the threats of danger, right? Perceived danger,
Sure.
because that's our survival mechanism, and that's the only the most important job of our body, right? And what happens is we take on 11 million bits of data every day. That's everything, from the colors that we see, from the wind that we feel, from the warmth, from the shapes, everything around us, right?
You said 11
So
million?
11 million bits of data, right?
Okay.
So now the thing of our brain, the job of our brain is to filter it out so we don't go crazy. Because if we were to feel, imagine that right now where you sit, you feel all the fabric move in, right? The surface that you sit on, the air that moves around you, you feel all of that constantly, right? You would just go mad. You would just be locked up really fast, right? Because we wouldn't be able to survive. So our conscious mind has to filter it out. But the trouble begins where there is too much of that data. And at one point, our brain is like, okay, but I cannot handle all of that anymore, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
too much for me. So that's where the decision making capacity goes down. That's when the stress, chronic stress happens. The ability to execute, our focus, our speed of decision, the way we learn, right? All the way to self trust. Um, and it's huge. And when we let go, when we clear the environment around us, not only the physical things, but also mentally, right? Overthinking is a big thing here as well. When we lower that, all of a sudden it's like, I can breathe,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can
Yeah.
focus on what matters. I can move forward. Maybe I can start a new job. Maybe I can start a new project. Maybe I can say no to things. Maybe I can rest. That's
Yeah.
important.
It is. It is. And so, clutter from a mental standpoint, again, when we think about clutter, we think about our environment and our surroundings, which still very much impacts what we do, how we think, our emotions, and then it could be a reason that we procrastinate because all of this chaos that is around us. And so, as busy business women, career women, sometimes we're just busy and could
Mhm.
have a bit of clutter around us. What would you say to someone that high achieving women, high achieving entrepreneurs, or even people just starting out? Would you say that it's important to declutter not only our environment, but how do we declutter our minds to ensure that we're in a place to where we can continuously move forward and grow?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful question because all of my clients are high achieving women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Purely because they want to change their lives and they feel like there is something that's stopping there. But also, a very visual aspect of this is we are high achievers at work. And then we have this duality in our life where at
Mm-hmm.
home, it's like just tornado hit it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And it's the pressure of this having to hold both of those personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really hard, right? And when we talk about how to move through it, right? I would always start with compassion, right? There's nothing wrong with you. It's
Right.
just how it is. There is no wrong or right way.
Mm-hmm.
uh it's, I was that person. I was high achieving, but I also, at the same time, like, people at work would always come to me for advice. I was super organized, winning awards, working in the corporate world, then running a successful business later as well. And it's and it's that sort of internal failure of, my home is a mess, I am disgusting, I am lazy, I am gross. I want to i want women really to hear that you are none of those things. You are just in a situation, right?
Yeah.
But compassion is always the first step. Always, giving yourself grace. And really, it's one of the things that it's hard to hear because we feel like we can do it all, right?
That's true. Yeah.
We can't.
You
We
can't.
can't. We cannot do it all. The thing is that it's funny because I actually the other day I was watching TV, and there was this one quote. Right, there was a conversation between two characters in a TV series, and she said, "Okay, but men can do it all, right? They
Hmm.
can do it all.
Oh,
Why can't we as women, right?"
yeah.
And the other person said, no, they can't. They just don't really care as much, not in a negative sense, but they don't analyze, they don't go so emotional into those things,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as women, ask for help, say no, creating boundaries. Oh my gosh, creating boundaries, it really, it's okay to say no. It's okay because you cannot, if you always say yes to everything, then it means in the same time, when you say yes to new opportunity or extra hours at work or maybe a new project to take on, um, you also, you are in the same time simultaneously saying no to your rest, a little bit of time, maybe time with your kids, time with your pet, with your significant other. There has to be the balance there. Without this, it's going to be hard.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not
And it's,
impossible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so true that there is power in the no. When you
Mm.
learn how to say no, it is so liberating. It took me a very long time to say no, to learn to say no, but I might use it a little too much now, but I have
we
learned
go
to
we
say
go into those extremes,
no.
especially
Yeah.
people pleasers, right? Historically,
Mhm.
if you're a people pleaser,
Yes.
and I am the first one to raise my hand, but also being a people pleaser is a great quality in a way that it helped us become high achievers, right? Because we
Yes.
grasp everything, but
Mhm.
there is a place and a time for everything. And really, here's the thing, right? We often, as high achievers, everything is priority, right? And then, which means everything has like a high priority status,
Yeah.
which means that nothing really is a priority.
Mhm.
And our life, our well-being takes a backseat a lot. But like you said, what I find really heartwarming here in this moment is the fact that saying no to things through decluttering, right? It helps us build this confidence, this internal confidence. When we, that's what happened to me when I started decluttering. Even the things that were really hard, right? Not hard like sentimental stuff, but like even a candle that I loved and I kept for however long, but I struggled to let go. Candles are actually for millennials, like a bit a touchy subject here, but I got rid of this item, and there was this like spark of confidence because
Mhm.
nothing happened. No one shouted at me, right? The piano didn't drop from the sky.
Yeah.
Tornado didn't take my house. No one died, right?
Mhm.
Nothing happened. So then another thing that was a little bit like icky sticky for me, I made a decision. I let go again. What that did, it helped me set boundaries with people as well. Because it gave me this courage, like, oh, how about I say no to my boss asking me to do this Sunday because I'm exhausted, right? I walk on my eyelashes because I can barely keep my eyes open from all the work that I'm doing.
Mhm.
How about I say no and go to sleep,
Yeah.
right? So there's just, yeah, it's definitely, it's easier through stuff to do it, to build that confidence, but prioritizing, it would be a very important step.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that I do as an image consultant, we declutter or purge people's closets.
Mm.
Some image consultants. So it's the same. I think it's the same thing to, declutter your mind, declutter your work environment, and then when I started into this industry, I picked up every book I could, and it was a constant. Your environment impacts the work that you do. Your environment impacts, your behavior. So I do know that there is a connection between that what we see,
Yeah.
how we live, how our offices look, how tidy it is or not. It all has an impact on what, our productivity. Can you talk about how one can identify the pattern of clutter? Because clutter doesn't necessarily mean that even in your home, that your home is just dirty, filled
Mm.
with junk. It could be small things, but if it's impacting the way that we think, how can we identify that?
I love this. And literally, just before we started, we went live. I got a
Mm-hmm.
comment from someone under my post saying, "Oh, it doesn't look like you decluttered much, right?"
Mm.
And it's exactly to what you said: is that clutter doesn't mean that you are a packed rat hoarder, right?
Yeah.
Clutter could just anything that causes us to feel a little bit of that, like, oh, it's too much,
Mm-hmm.
right? It feels chaotic. It could be hundreds of things out of place, but to some people it would be like five things out of place, right?
Right. Yeah.
So clutter is that it's anything and everything. It's rubbish around us, it's stuff out of place, it's misplaced items, so many of the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So permission to sort of think of it as whatever is out of place and whatever is just sort of like too much for me to handle at this particular moment in time. But the patterns to spot, it would always be, how do you feel when you walk into the room, right? Whether it is your house, your office, when you open your laptop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we work online as well, when you open your laptop, do you feel like, oh my gosh, like I cannot find anything? Or if you have to attach a file to an email, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't find this thing, right? It's the equivalent of looking for a permission slip in the
Mm-hmm.
house or scissors or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because clutter is not only the physical thing, but it's online, digital as well.
Yeah. And so
So,
I want to talk about that. Again, you mentioned when we open our computers, when we walk into our office and we're looking for a thing and it's overwhelming. It can be
mm,
overwhelming. I've been there, especially when I first started really having to spend post COVID, having to spend a lot of time online, going in, trying to find documents, trying to find slips and deliverables and things like that. When we are not organized or we haven't taken the time to organize any stuff as simple as files, it can really
mm.
change the trajectory of the day. In that little moment of overwhelm and not being able to find something can really impact us as well. Can you talk about that a little bit, or just talk about the process of overcoming
Yeah,
that?
so there's few things here is avoidance of doing the task because I cannot find what I need, so I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
do the task, right? Maybe we are not let's say we have to create some social media posts for our business, right?
Right.
But we sit at the computer and there's just so much to do that straight away, and it's compared to like so much to declutter but also so much to do with productivity here,
Mm-hmm.
is that we immediately shut down and the avoidance starts, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe we plan, I'm going to do this and that, outside of actually doing the thing that we want to do, right? These are all how our nervous system responds to the stimuli, to the task at hand, right? If the task at hand is too big, if it's too much too fast, we are going to start either avoiding or over planning, or we feel so overwhelmed that you just shut the laptop
Yeah.
and you're not going to do anything. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same with, if at work you are very easily irritable, right? Because there's just so much to do. It's a
Mm-hmm.
clear sign of exhaustion, right? It's
Right.
because it's because we are taking way too much on our shoulders. So let's declutter some of that. Let's say no to
Right.
some of the things, right?
Yeah.
And I would always, with decluttering, whether it's a physical things at home or things at work or tasks or our goals, right? I would always start with trimming away the things that we don't need. Because a
Okay.
lot of times, what happens, right? Here's the thing: what happens when people think about decluttering, right? They think about, I need to become this completely different person who is organized, who can do everything, who always knows where everything is, and who can actually also hold all of that together. But
Hmm. Yeah.
it's the furthest from the truth, because you cannot self abandon yourself in the process of becoming that new version of you. It's more coming back to yourself. It's more trimming away the chaos, right? I always compare it to those beautiful sculptures, like tree sculptures.
Hmm.
How are they created? They don't add new branches, right?
Right.
And twigs. They trim away
Hmm.
what's not needed.
What's
And it's
not needed.
the same here. Simplicity is always going to be the answer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And again, I thought that this talk would be timely, being that it's the top of the year and we're always creating new
Mm.
goals. We're recalibrating. Yeah, recalibrating, and trying to come up with different programs, pivoting a bit in our businesses, and wondering sometimes why we're stuck. And I think that we can be stuck because, again, the spaces that we're in,
Yep.
where we're
Mm.
working, what that feels like. And so creating a space that makes you want to do more, that makes you happy about being in that space and want to really spend time in that space. But that would be a part of an extension of decluttering, I think.
Yeah, yes, 100%. It's curating the environment that you want to be in, that you are excited to do
Hmm.
the work. And it's definitely not only getting rid of things, because here's the thing: what matters is how you feel, right? And if you have the tendency, right, as a business person, to have a lot of things on your desk and it doesn't bother you, it's okay. What I'll be really mindful here of is trying to project other people's way of how the desk should work, how the office
Hmm.
should work or look like, or how our days, should look like. Onto Because it's, again, we have to do what's right for us, how we feel good, right?
Yeah.
If I feel great when my desk is messy, it's okay, right? But trying to mold myself into the version of me that I have to have my pencils, straighten up before I
Yeah.
start working, that's never going to work.
That's
What
right.
actually is going to work better is, hypothetical situation: you work from home, you sit at your desk, right? And instead of going straight into working, take a minute or two to make yourself feel good. Maybe play a song that you like, right? And sing along for a moment. Maybe light a candle. It's about curating the space mentally and physically as well, right? Maybe you like put a plant on your desk if that's what's supportive to you, or light a incense, because that's what that's going to do. And it's something, for me, as a high achieving woman who would always just, you know do, like, that's all that I've always done, right? It's action that's important, but actually taking that step back, and that is going to be way more supportive and way more, mm, the productivity is going to increase, because you will be in the energy of, okay, I feel great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe your desk needs a little bit of adjustment, but that's up to you. You will know. You will know exactly how far you can take this decluttering to, whether you want an empty desk, or are you okay with what it is. And no matter whether you are decluttering for work or decluttering for home, If you do not feel good in a space, curate that space intentionally. That is the most important part of it.
That was good. That was good. Some good information, and I think people can take that away. And like me, I'm looking around at my desk, and maybe I can move some of these books. But as you said, it depends on the person because, like most things, it's personal. Whatever works for you. So if you're okay with having 8 books on your desk and you work fine in that environment and you feel good about that, then that's fine. But if you're a person that this is making me feel a little off, it's causing a little overwhelm because it's distracting, then remove those things. But when we come, I'm going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to hear about the process and how you help people to start that journey of the decluttering, mental decluttering, and the space. All right, so we'll be back with Dorota Kuldo.
You're not just building a career, you're building a reputation and that of your business. At People Power Consultancy, we coach ambitious professionals to refine their image and shape a personal brand that opens doors. Because the way you show up is your message. If you're tired of blending in, second-guessing your presence, or feeling unseen, this is your moment to stand out with purpose and polish. Visit peoplepowerconsultancy.com to start your transformation. Your next level has a look. Let's define it.
Well, so we're back with my guest, Dorota Kuldo. She is a nervous system mentor, and she helps ambitious women declutter their lives and their work. So I wanted to talk to you, as we said before we went to break. I wanted you to talk about the process and how one can start this decluttering process and think outside of decluttering the home, but how that impacts us mentally as well.
So first is always we have to start with awareness and curiosity. And like I've mentioned before the break, give yourself grace and give yourself a lot of love because this is a process to navigate through. But curiosity here would be curiosity is always from the nervous system perspective is always a tool that's going to take us out of that stuckness, right? So when I start the process with my clients, there's always like a couple of questions that I like to ask them. So when anyone feels a little bit like maybe stuck, like they want to move forward, but there's just so much going on, I would always suggest maybe grabbing a pen and paper. That's always from the nervous system perspective, a great tool. But you can also answer this question in your own head. It's just pen and paper is always, it works better because we hold attention more. To answer the question is, what is happening here? Like, how does my first, let's say 10 minutes of the day looks like, right? When there is a task that I have to complete, as a business owners, we have 1,000,001 things that we have to do.
Yeah.
But this first 10 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes of the day, right? What is actually like, what are the motions that I go through, right? So let's say hypothetical situation, right? We have a project to do. Let's say it's our social media presence for our brand, right? Do we actually straight away go and do the task, or is there okay, let me research yet another way how I can do the posts, or let me analyze another content, or do we feel like we need to educate ourselves more deeply on the topic, because these are actually our nervous system response that is making it's very sneaky. Nervous system can be really, really sneaky, and when we are able to spot those little things with curiosity, it's always, oh, isn't it interesting that when I sit down to create content, my social media content for my brand, I feel the need to research yet another strategy, right? That's one of the things how we can, because what it is we are moving away from the task. It's not exactly procrastination, right? Because procrastination would be I'll do completely something different. That's a freeze response, procrastination. But maybe feeling that we need to tweak our website 5 million times or our sales pages 5 million times. These are very clear signs of the nervous system trying to stop us from actually working on the thing that is actually going to move the needle. So really having a look at what does this 10, 20 first minutes of the day, of the working day, are, what do we do, right? And then from there we can see the patterns, right? And then work from there up.
Yeah. So like you said, which is interesting, your morning routine is very important because it grounds us, and it helps set the pace for the day. And some things that I've experienced, some training that I've gone through, you need to be intentional from the moment you open your eyes, right, to what you're going to do in those first few seconds of the day.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's the morning is always no matter what we do, whether our goal is to declutter or whatever we do, the morning is always the most important when we wake up, because it's when our brain is the most, it's like a sponge, right? It takes on everything. So if in the first second and you just wake up, the first thing that you do is grab your phone and scroll, that's already going to dysregulate and increase the cortisol level, right? Increase that survival rate. So the more stimuli we give ourselves in the morning, the more distracted we are going to be throughout the day. And at the end of the day, do we really need to know what Susan down the road posted at night?
Yeah.
We don't. We don't. It can wait. It can wait. Take 5 deep breaths. Have a coffee, slow coffee if you can. It doesn't. We are busy, right? Sometimes we don't even have 5 minutes in the morning to do the morning routine. So then what I suggest is when you wake up, put your hand on your heart, take 2 deep breaths. You have to breathe anyway, so it's not something new. Deep breath and say like, okay, I've got this. It really changes the chemistry in the brain positively, for sure. Yeah.
That's good. I thank you for this information, because as we've talked about, life gets so demanding and it's so busy, and we have to, we feel like we have to go. And I say sometimes it causes burnout, but someone once told me there's no such thing as burnout. But I'm not an expert in that. But
it was probably a guy.
Causes burnout, and overwhelm. It causes imposter syndrome when you're trying to live up to the expectations of everything and everyone, and then you again cannot declutter your mind. You can't declutter your space because you're too busy. And when you sit down or when you get a break, you just want to totally tap out. If someone wanted to get in touch with you or find out more about you, how could they do that?
They can find me on Instagram under Dorota Kuldo Decluttering. That's DOROTAKULDO Decluttering. Or on Facebook. I'm on Facebook under Dorota Kuldo as well. You can, pop along, give me a follow. And there's just, I talk really extensively. I'm really passionate about brain science and how it affects decluttering and really trying to change the way that we see decluttering, because it's not only following the checklist, but it's so much more. It can be beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sure that it could. And again, sometimes we're not aware of the impact of decluttering. And when we think about decluttering, we do think about spaces, which are important because those spaces affect how we think and how we produce, how our productivity and such. So again, I thought this was a very timely conversation. I appreciate all of your insight. And you say you work with one-on-one with clients?
Women? Yes. Yes, I work with women one-on-one. I also have, if someone just wishes to have a course that they can follow, I have that too. But I highly suggest that more proximity one-on-one, because we go deep, we change, it's such a transformation. It's a 6 months work with me, and yes, your home will be decluttered, but imagine never having to think about clutter ever, ever, ever again. That's the beauty. Yeah.
It makes life simpler. It makes life simpler.
Yeah.
So again, thank you, Dorota. Again, Dorota is a decluttering mentor, and she helps women to declutter their homes and their lives. My name is Jenny Dewberry, and I am the host of the Image Connection Show. And if you want to learn more about me, you can locate me on LinkedIn under Jenny Dewberry. You can find me on Instagram at JennyDew_PeoplePower. And my website is peoplepowerconsultancy.com. And then the Image Connection Show is on YouTube. So subscribe to the show if you haven't already. That would be great. We would appreciate it. I do have a code you can scan to get to my website, and also my free guide, Why Image Matters and Why You Should Care. You can also get that too right here. So again, thank you for spending time with us this morning, and change the way you think about decluttering. It is so much more than decluttering your home. We're talking about decluttering your spaces, which ultimately helps you declutter your mind. Any last word for the people, Dorota?
Yeah, what I really want people to know is that you get to make your own rules. You get to, there's nothing wrong with you. There is no right or wrong. You can declutter exactly the way you want to, and there is so much freedom and power in that. You are in charge.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So again, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Dorota, for coming in with us, sitting with us today. And until next time, declutter, clear your mind, clear your space, and move in power and be productive. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Image Connection Show. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again. And don't keep it to yourself. Invite a friend to tune in too. If you're ready for more insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you enhance your image, brand, and help you on your entrepreneurial journey, this is where you want to be. Until next time, keep showing up with purpose, presence, and power. I'll see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Take care.